In this video, I'm going to go over the advanced skills of using Microsoft Word 2010 to create validated forms. Now, the reason that you might want to do this is that you might want to create some form of questionnaire that you send out through an email, or that you actually get students or teachers or parents to fill in on the computer. In order to do that, what you might want to do is actually stop them from accessing certain parts of the document. So for example, the introduction. If I gave someone a questionnaire and allowed them full access to this document, and they might be able to delete the text, add their own text, etc. So what we're going to learn in this video is A, how we actually create a questionnaire in Microsoft Word that is interactive, and also how to then lock that questionnaire so all that the user can do is fill out their answers. We'll start with this template that we've got here for the ICT Workshops questionnaire, and what I've asked in this first section is for name. Now what I need to do is I need to start inserting fields that people can actually access, i.e. these are the things that are editable in our questionnaire. To do that, we need to use something on the Developer tab, but when you open up Microsoft Word, standard is that the Developer tab is not there. So if your Developer tab is not in the ribbon, what you need to do is you need to go to the File menu, Options, and in the Customize Ribbon option, you need to make sure that this tick is on the Developer tab here. So it would tend to be set to default, not be ticked, which means that the Developer tab won't appear. If you tick it, press OK, you should have the Developer tab in your ribbon. Now what I'll need to be using throughout this document is these tools. They're called controls, and there are different controls and they can be quite confusing. Basically, these controls that we have here are standard for Microsoft Word 2010, which means if you save your document as a Microsoft Word 2010 file, these features will work. However, if you want to save your document as a Microsoft Word 2007 or prior, you will have to use the legacy forms, which are these tools here. These ActiveX controls, what these actually require is that when you save this document, if you use any of these ActiveX controls, you will need to save this document as a macro-enabled document because it uses some built-in macros in order to make it work. So for example, in this video, we're going to be using an option button, and so we'll actually have to save this document at the end as a macro-enabled file. So to get started, what we'll do is in the name field here, we're going to insert a plain text content control. So if I click on this, what this will allow for is it will allow the user to enter plain text inside this field, because that's what I want from their name. I'm then going to ask them to select their gender. So I'm just going to write gender, make that bold. And then in the Developer tab, I'm actually going to put a line break in here, and I'm going to ask them whether they are male or whether they're female. However, what I want to do is I want this to be a option button. So an option button will mean if I have two options and the button is chosen, then it will not let you allow you to choose the other option. So let me just explain that a little bit better by demonstrating. So instead of writing male and female, I'm going to go to the ActiveX controls, and I'm going to click on this option button, and I'm going to enter the first option. So it appears, you can see my little circle here, and my option button, and I'm going to change this text by right-clicking on this and going to option button object edit, which means I can now edit this text. So I'm going to put male like that, and then I obviously need to insert another one. So at this point here, I'm going to add another one and do exactly the same again. Right click, option button object, edit, and inside this one I'm going to put female like that. I'm just resizing these because they don't need to be that long. And you can see that now, as long as this design mode button is selected here, if I try clicking on these buttons, it actually selects those fields. If I actually want to see what it will look like to select those buttons, if I take this design mode off by clicking on it, I can now click on these as if they were the questionnaire. And as you can see, I can only choose one of these options. Okay. If I then want to add more, I need to get the design mode so that it's back on. Like that. And now I'm going to ask for preferred sessions. Okay, I'll make this bold. And again, what I'll do here this time is insert an ActiveX control, and I'm going to insert a checkbox. A checkbox is slightly different because what I can do with a checkbox is this time it's the same thing that I'm doing to edit the text. So you can see that my if I just scroll up here, if I right click on this, I'm going to checkbox object and edit. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to type in Monday. I'm then going to add another one, and in here I'm going to edit it and type it Tuesday. Oops. And then I'm going to add one more for Wednesday. And the way that this differs from the above when I'm asking for the gender is that if I take off the design mode here, if you notice on the gender I can choose one or the other, and that's simply because I used this option, which is called an option button. However, this time for the preferred session I've used something called a checkbox, and the way it differs is I can actually choose more than one of these, obviously, which is quite useful because for my preferred sessions people can come to more than one. For the gender, you are either one or the other. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to add is subject. Again, make that bold. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a drop down list, and if I right click on this drop down list, I'll just scroll down a little bit so that you can see this. If I right click on this drop down list and go to properties, I can then add different items within the drop down list. So if I add display name ICT, and I add English, and I add maths, etc, etc, and press OK. If I then come out of the design view of this, you can see that I now have a drop down list that contains the subjects that I added. I'll send this and email this to someone, and they can fill in this questionnaire for me. So Mockwood, male, I prefer to come on Monday and Tuesday, and my subject is ICT. However, what you'll notice is that although that's fantastic, I can still actually delete some of this content, and I don't want to be able to do that. What I want to do is I want to lock this sheet. So to do that, all I need to do in the developer tab again is restrict editing. If the design mode is on and I choose these options here, you'll see that I can't go any further. So what I actually need to do is I need to take the design mode off. Then I need to choose editing restrictions, and from the drop down list I need to click on filling in forms. Once I've done that, press yes, start enforcing the protection. You can give it a password if you want to, so that only you can unlock this protection if needed, or you can just leave it blank and press OK. Now, my document's ready for people to fill in. However, what I need to do is I need to do a file save as, and because we use some of the ActiveX controls, I need to actually save this as a macro-enabled file. So in the file save as, I need to go save as file type, macro-enabled document. Once I've done that, if I press save, my document is now ready to be filled in. And as you can see, I can't click on any of the text to delete it. All I can do is click on the fields that I've allowed them to select from the controls. So that's how you would create a questionnaire using Microsoft Word and create validated forms. and I need to make sure that the design mode